How's it going, YouTube? Captain OJ here with Team KYP. Today I'm actually bringing you a somewhat new deck. It's the Magical Musketeers. I've seen some of the playstyle over the last few months, and I really like the idea of the control based with it, and the artwork is friggin' incredible. The idea of between mixing demons and
Cowboys.
Cowboys essentially. I don't know, just the artwork to me is really impressive.
No, it's weird too, they're lights too.
Yeah, they're all lights.
Demons.
You know how awesome it would have been if it was darks?
Yeah.
If it was all darks, like a lore, you'd be able to get the draw power going even more. Oh man, it would have been awesome.
That's probably why he did that.
Yeah, probably. Anyways, I really enjoy this deck. Me and GuardedKam just finished our duel, and unfortunately his cubics bricked, enough to build a house.
Yeah.
And, even me, I ended up misplaying because he had anti-spell up. But anyways, I ended up winning because he just couldn't unbrick his hand. Anyway, we're going to get to the deck profile. You're going to see some personal choices that I ended up going with. And actually, just a disclaimer now, I ended up going with the, I feel it was more of a consistent C build that I went with. And I ended up going with the more normal summon focused version other than the Ties build. Ties, I feel, is it's susceptible to Ash, which unfortunately then you pay 2,000 life points and you don't get anything out of it. So I personally felt the normal summon heavier one was a bit more appropriate. But anyway, just see what I did with the deck, and hopefully you guys have some advice and maybe some tech cards you might be able to help me out with. And maybe hopefully I can help you guys out too. Let's get to it. Alright, so like usual, we're going to start with the main, then the extra, then the side. So I'll pull those away. So that's
the center.
That's the center. All right. So first of all, you need to play 3 cast bar. He's more or less like the Stratos card for your whole deck. Essentially, what all the Magical Musketeers do is when you activate a card, you or your opponent activate a spell or trap card in the same column as they are, then you get to activate their effects afterwards. Don't get confused. Actually, one question I had when I originally first started playing these guys was, does their effect chain to the spell or trap card? The answer is no, it doesn't, because if it did, I would have been playing chain summoning in here. And it's a legitimate question. That's one of the first things I had to ask about this deck before I started playing it. So you play 3 cast bars. Next you play 3 Magical Musketeer Starfire. Starfire special summons from the deck, so I guess she's the more susceptible one to getting ashed, but it's still a mandatory 3 of. Yeah, and she had the same effect as cast bar, where you activate something in the same column, and that's how you trigger her effect. Next you play 3 Kid Brave. Kid Brave is cool too. He's probably, I think out of the whole deck that I play right now, he's probably the strongest one. He's at 16, except with his effect, when you activate a spell or trap in the same column, or your opponent activates, whatever, you can discard a Magical Musket card and then draw 2. So it's more, this guy's actually really nutty. If you play like Upstart, then you activate Upstart, you draw a card, then you discard 1, draw 2 more. Or even Pot of Desire is even more nuttier. Actually, with him and Caspar, they're pretty nutty with Pot of Desires, because then you draw 2 and you can either search or draw 2 more with this guy. I play 2 Doc, more or less to recycle your spells and traps afterwards. You don't want to see him early game. Early game, he really kind of sucks. Because obviously you have nothing in your grave to recycle unless you activate 2 spell or traps from your hand during your opponent's turn. But even then, it's more or less just to recycle your cards and get the plays going again. I finally got my hands on 3 Ash, so by now you can probably tell this isn't a budget build. I find Ash is really good this format, but at the same time, I'm not quite sure whether to play this or Droll and Lockbird. Both cards are not exactly budget friendly, but Ash I find right now is more flexible, because obviously it stops the draw, stops the search, it stops the mill. It's just a more flexible card right now, and I think that's why it's held in high regard right now. I play 3 Ghost Ogres. Ghost Ogre, same thing. It's just a really good hand trap. Thankfully, this card's been reprinted the hell so many damn times, but in Canada, it's still like a $15 card, so it's still pretty nuts. I played the 1 Max C because it's practically a god card. So, yeah. You drop Max C, your opponent stops right when they're in their tracks. Now for the spells.
Unless you're me.
Oh, yeah, then you take the Maxi challenge. And I play 3 cross domination. It's more or less, it's you can only really activate it if you have a magical musketeer on board, but normally you can keep 1 normal summoned monster on board for the entirety of the game. Anyways, what his guard is, you target one of your opponent's monsters, you change its attack to 0, attack and defense to 0, and its effects are negated. So you can either use it as a battle trap, or you can use it as an effect negation. Either way, you're disrupting your opponent's resources and disrupting their plays, which is what this deck does best, while also gaining resources. I've played 3 double summon. It does brick every now and again, but for the most part, because of the build that I'm playing, I feel that it's the better alternative than Ties of the Brethren. Like I said, Ties of the Brethren is more susceptible to Ash, and that's what I was afraid of. I tried to reduce the amount of Ash targets that this deck actually can hit. I play 3 Pot of Desires.
Pot of Duality.
Sorry, the Duality. Like you already seen, I'm not special summoning too much other than on my opponent's turn with Starfire. So I feel that this is the better alternative as of right now. Next I play 2 Pot of Desires. Desires, like I said, I was explaining earlier, Pot of Desires is a really nutty card when it comes to like Caspar or Kid Brave. Because not only are you drawing 2 with this, but you're also either searching for 1 or you're discarding to draw 2 more. So either way, this is a really good card to get to your resources faster. Back to the magical musket cards, I played 2 Steady Hand. Steady Hand is like, it's more or less a shrink, well not a shrink, what do you call it? Almost like a Megamorph for your cards because it doubles the attack. The only thing is, all your magical musket cards have a lower attack, so it does come in handy for like just battlefield effects, but other than that, I'm really contemplating on taking this card out in all honesty and replacing it with Cosmic Cyclones because they don't have just generic back row removal. But either way, it's still a half decent card and it's searchable, so you know I'm still really contemplating on leaving it there. Upstart Goblin, because it's Upstart Goblin. You know, and it's the same thing with this card with your Caspar or your Kid Brave. It's just an easy way of activating their effects and gaining more advantage. Now for the traps. Play 3 evenly matched because it's evenly matched. It's just a really good way of board wiping your opponent. Actually, I found out this card is especially deadly against something like True Dracos because they can, even if they're what do you call it? Their masterpiece is unaffected by traps. This can still banish it, and the reason why is because it's not you, your opponent, or it's not you banishing it. It's your opponent that controls the masterpiece. It's them affecting their own masterpiece. So this is, if you guys can get your hands on this, I highly suggest it. Next, more for the archetype based traps, I play 3 Desperado. Desperado is basically, it turns more or less any of your magical musketeer cards into a Trident. Zodiac Trident. You activate this, you target and destroy face-up spell or trap or monster on board, and then you get to search for something after that. So it's really, or search, draw, special summon from deck, whatever. And this is the reason why I'm contemplating not putting Cosmic Cyclone in. Last Stand, it's more or less a searchable way of negating spells, traps, spells and traps. And it's a counter trap, so it can even counter traps. So that's why like I'm looking at it like if it's like someone tries to play Solemn Strike on you or whatever, as long as you have a Musketeer face up on board right now, this can stop that. And then last but not least, I play the 1 Magical Musket Fiendish Deal. I'm contemplating on even taking this card out because it's a random 1-up and it protects your monsters from being destroyed by card effects, so like against Dark Hole, Raigeki. But I think I've only really used it once in a duel. But I don't know, we'll see what happens in the future build, so maybe I'll update this profile later on. Anyways, now for the side, the extra. For the most part, the extra deck, you don't really use it. So the only ones I would really suggest is maybe the Phantom Knights of Breaksword, Grand Pulse, and Acid Golem. The only one I'm actually missing it right now is D&D Stone King Darius. It's you need 2 level 3 Fiend Time monsters to make it. You don't use its first effect because you aren't playing any Dark Contracts. But its battlefield effect is relatively useful if we're getting over other monsters. For the most part, the rest of the extra deck is all Cherish targets. You got Invokes Macabre, Mastero, ABC, Totally Awesome, Crystal Wing, Nova. You could also play Infinity, but I prefer to get rid of Nova, so it prevents Infinity entirely. And I don't like his effect about being destroyed by card effects. So, Spiral matchup as well as, World Legacy, or World Chalice and Spiral, and I don't like Cyframe Driver getting rid of my spells and traps from my hand. So that's the extra. Like I said, it's actually incomplete right now. I'm pretty sure I have to put in another Cherries target or two in here. And finally for the side, I play 3 Dancing Needle. Dancing Needles are really good for like graveyard removal. Against GuardedKam, I actually cited this in because I don't like his Cubic Karma getting to the grave. Once it's in the grave, you can banish it and search. So if I don't have Ash and I have this with a magical Musketeer on board, I can banish like all of his important cubics, or basically just like I said, it's graveyard removal. So even against Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, Burning Abyss, and all that kind of stuff that needs to banish from their graveyard, you can banish it right away and prevent any of their effects from going off. I play 3 DDD Rebel King Leonidas. This is an old card from like, I think it's like Clash of Rebellion. No, not Clash. Yeah, maybe Clash of Rebellions. But what I really like about this card is, well, not only did I used to play DDDs, so you know, it's just me bringing it back. But this card is really, really good against not only Trickstars, but any kind of real burn deck. Because he's more or less a hand trap. When your opponent burns you, you get special summon from your hand, and then you take no further effect damage while he's face up on board. And against something like Trickstars, a lot of the times, unless they have Honest in hand, they cannot get over this. So you bring this on board and their main win condition is just gone. That's it. There is no hope for them after that. And then you just beat them down with it. So I really, really like this card, and I highly suggest if it's a definite like odd option for going up against Trickstars. As you've seen, most of your extra deck is Cherries targets. And finally, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think I'm missing a Kaiju, but oh well. I play the Kaiju engine as well, mainly for mainly for like True Dracos or any kind of like big boss monsters that I have a hard time getting over. You know, like if I can't get over, like I said, mainly for True Dracos, because I really, really don't like their Masterpiece. Once Masterpiece is on board, it's incredibly difficult for anybody really to get over it, unless you have a Kaiju. So I find the small Kaiju engine really, really helps in this deck. A lot of the times you can either boost your own monsters up so that you can get over another Kaiju, or reduce their Kaiju's attack to 0, or there's so many different ways that you can get over these Kaijus with your own combos while searching or drawing, you know, something else. And right now my 15th card is 1 Cosmic Cyclone, but like I said before, I was thinking of putting Cosmic Cyclones in the main deck, but we'll see what happens in the near future. Anyways, that's what I got for my first prototype of Magical Musketeers. Like I said before, I'm really, really enjoying this deck. I'm still playtesting. I'm trying to figure out ways of improving it. Other options that I did come across were like the Toon Table of Contents idea. Yeah, Toon Table of Contents, the Ties That Are Brethren. But like I said, with Ties That Are Brethren, I feel it's just too much of it's high risk, high reward, so your ceiling might be higher, but you're also paying a little bit more. With the Toon Table of Content, I find it is good and all, but I find there's more consistent ways you can surge and trigger off your own Magical Musketeers effects. So anyways, hope you guys all enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Dislike it if you disliked it, but give me some advice and whatever you can do to help me out, and hopefully I helped you out in the process. Captain OJ and Team KYP out.
See you later.